again now to just have a re-evaluation after I've had a little break from it to see if there are any things I need to change to finish the painting off. And I've got a little checklist here that I use when I'm reassessing a painting and evaluating it at the end. First thing I'm going to look at is the composition, and I'm referring back to my thumbnail, and I realise I haven't done what I set out to do. I have put that in the third, but it needs to be bigger, and I was wanting this line to be more definite across here, that separates the hill that's coming down from this bit of the plain there. I also had some darker diagonals coming across there. I didn't want it to be so straight across here. I want it to be a bit more diagonal, so I'm going to put a few more bushes in there. I'm going to lighten this off so that it's a little bit more clear, the definition between here and where it starts to flatten out, and then I'm going to make this a bit taller and a bit darker. So quite a few things I'm changing. I will just start on that. Just be starting on that line there. And at this stage, I'm not going to be having the original reference photo there. I don't want to see it anymore. I want to concentrate on what I'm doing here. I'm going to be mixing up some yellow, making it a tiny bit pink with some alizarin. Just a little bit more of that. A little goes a long way. I've made it very pink now, so I'm adding in a bit more of the Naples yellow. And that's just going to come across like so. As it comes down and flattens out across there, it becomes that pinker, warmer sort of colour. Then I'll let a little bit of it go back up into the hill, but most of it's coming down. And I'll add a little of it coming into this area too, to give me that little look I was after, of a little bit of a diagonal coming across there. And let some more come into this area here. I like that better already. It's made a bit of a more of a definition between coming down the hill like so and flattening out onto the plain. Like that much more. This is probably too yellow over there, and I'm going to tone it down a bit by adding some dark raw sienna to that mix that I've used. So it'll still stay pinky, but it's going to be a little bit darker there, because it's going too far out to the edge there and just sort of distracting me a little bit. And also I think I don't want it to end so sharply there. So that is probably a little bit better. Just adding in a little bit of the deeper reds, transparent red oxide there. I'm going to pull up some of those spiky ones coming right up there, just to give it, to connect those two areas a bit. I wanted the pink behind them, but now I want some of that spikiness to come up and through there. I'll put a few more of them down in here, over in here, because I lost a lot of that with all the spattering that went on, which has given it nice texture, but I lost some of those more definite spiky grass that I was going for as well. So I like that. Now I want to make this one taller, so I need to mix up another batch of that, which is the cerulean blue, remember, and the yellow ochre. So I'm taking some cerulean blue. I'm actually just going to mix it on top of that pinky area that I had there, because I think that's going to work quite well. Mix that all together. I'm going to start off with some darker areas because I just felt I'd made it too light, so a lot of dark going on, and then I'll go back into it with some lighter tops, just scraping it on and letting some of that other lighter stuff come through in a few areas. And I don't want it to be so round, so I'm going to spike up a few bits up there and try and connect it with that area behind and make the bush a little bit more asymmetrical. It was getting a bit too symmetrical there. So I like that better, and then I might make some of these bushes here slightly bigger than they were originally. Maybe have a bit of overlap there. Overlap is good because it creates depth and helps the plants to sort of sit in their landscape and not float around. So just overlapping that one with that one. Now what I have to do is strengthen up the base again, so I'm adding in a bit of the alizarin and some ultramarine blue to the mix, pulling it around, and I'm just mixing it on top of the green so that they mix a little bit together, and that'll give me a nice rich deep dark to go into that, which I can pull up into the leafy area for the stems and the branches. So it just needs a nice shadowed base to anchor it to the ground there. The sunlight's overhead, so we're not really getting any cast shadows as such because it's all around the base there. But it does mean that I can make the base very dark, which is what I'm doing. On all of these. And I can add in, I think that's the other thing I need to do, is this area isn't dark enough. So I'm just taking some of that and scrabbling it over the top, that really dark purpley, to give me some more depth and darkness in amongst all the lighter things that are going on there. It's just too, it was too light, it just needed a little bit of that. If I get too much, I just scratch back through it and then out comes some of the undercolour, but I did want a fair amount of that. I'm going to pull some of that over the tar gel there, and you can see how rubbing it over the top of the tar gel allows the tar gel to pick it up and make it look like some more branches and stems and so on there. We want to darken the base slightly, so I'm going to use the same purple, but I add a slight amount of white to it. A different palette knife to get it on there. Now I need to go in and make some more of that sage again so that I can lighten it off. I've darkened everything up, but I do then need to have some lighter bits on the top, just pulled over the top. You can see how that gives it form and definition when I do that, especially now here on this one where I'm going to pull over some lights to separate it from the dark area of the one that's in front of it. Give that one a little bit of light on this top too. And then I'm going to purple it off slightly, so a little bit of pink and a little bit of ultramarine goes into that to make it purpley grey, which is then going to get added in this area. I'm just adding a little bit of the pinky purpley grey here, because that was the we looked at the composition and what I found wrong with the composition. So now I'm fixing some of the colour and value issues that I had. So this wasn't dark enough, this wasn't dark enough, and I hadn't made that light enough. So I've fixed composition and colour at the same time. So they're the first two things I look at, composition and colour. I'm much happier with that as a composition. I'm happier with the colour, and I'm happier with the values. I think it reads better. The mood, I'm not sure if it's sunny enough. I think I'm going to put in a few more flowers. It was a lovely sunny day, and I think it does need a couple more flowers, and try and get quite a few of those in. I think they'll work really well against those bluey silvery greens of the sagebrush. So I'm getting them in around the sagebrush. And again, not looking at the photo, I'm just thinking about where would the painting benefit from some more colour. I'm just popping in with my finger there. So I'm adding a little bit of the pinks out there, just a suggestion of the pinks out there in that plane as well, for some of the pink flowers going into the distance. And I might pull a few of them through here, just to link it colour-wise. I'm going to add in a bit more of the bright. This is where I want to try and get a bit of summer into it. A few little dots back there. Maybe a couple of little dots in there. There weren't really any white flowers here, but I'm thinking of introducing a little bit of white, because I've got the white up there, and I think the white, having something a little bit whiter in here would help. And I might just give some like Queen Anne's lacy kind of flowers in amongst it. I think that will also help with the movement through there. I'll put a couple of bigger ones around this area too. I like those white flowers. That was a good thought, and what it's trying to do is create the mood. And so that's why I've thrown away the photo, so that I can concentrate more on what I think rather than what I actually saw. And I think these just off-white flowers are helping. Quite a lot there. Might add a couple over here up against the darkness of that. And then I may go back in again with the pinks and add some on that aren't splatter. So just make a few bigger ones. And I can make it a stronger pink as well, so that I've got a little bit of variation in there, those pinks. So these are the little touches at the end that will lift your painting from what it was to something slightly more interesting. I don't really want much over here because I don't want the eye to be pulled out there, so I'm trying to keep it in this area. Then it will hit this bush and go back out through there. And I can see one area on that mountain that's not quite right. I wonder if you can see it too. And it's that mark that isn't natural shaped at all, so I'm just going to move it out. I will put a slightly more orangey yellow in there as well, just down here to so I think the flowers are looking quite good. It's leading me into now my last thing I usually think about is where will I sign the painting, and I'm thinking I'm going to sign it over in this area. It's quiet over there, and I think that's where it's going to go. What colour should I sign it in? I'm thinking the sage brush colour would tie it in nicely. So I think that's what I'll sign it with, a sort of silvery green. So just another bit of grass growing amongst all that. And the grass just happens to be my name. So I've kept the detail away from the corners. I've kept the colour coming through here, not too much over here. I don't want to pull the eye out, but just a little touch of colour on that plane. I've changed that so that it's sitting flatter and does tell me where the plane is, and so that I've got a light strip behind the bush here. The bush is overlapping a bit more now, so it gives me a better sense of depth and distance. I'm not sure if they're a little bit distracting back there, and they might get a slight knock back too, just with a little lighter green on them. They're not quite so distracting, and maybe put a couple more along this way, just a few bits and pieces of bushes down there. I hope you enjoyed that demonstration of making a desert scene, getting the flowers in, and then trying to be loose and not worry so much about what the reference photo was like. I certainly enjoyed doing it, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.